Have you ever felt like there's a version of yourself you keep locked away? A wild, intuitive part that knows exactly what it wants, but that you've learned to silence because it wasn't appropriate? Clarissa Pinkola Estés, a Jungian psychoanalyst and storyteller, dedicated her entire life to warning us about this. In Women Who Run with the Wolves, she wrote, "The most regrettable thing is a woman who has forgotten how to howl." And perhaps after 40, you are finally feeling that howl stuck in your throat, wanting to get out, but still fighting decades of conditioning that taught you that well-behaved women don't make noise. Estés knew that every woman carries within herself an inner wolf, an ancestral, instinctive, creative, and fierce force. But she also knew that we live in a society that systematically domesticates this wolf, transforming it into an obedient puppy that performs tricks to please others. And the most tragic part? Many of us don't even realize this has happened. Since childhood, we have been surgically trained to domesticate our wild nature. You were taught that pretty girls don't scream, be polite, always smile, don't be too opinionated, men don't like it. Your value is in being chosen, not in choosing. Wise women know when to be silent. Each of these lessons was an invisible leash placed on your inner wolf. Every time you swallowed a sharp word, every time you smiled when you wanted to snarl, every time you said yes when your instinct screamed no, you were domesticating your essential nature. Clarissa Estés called this the wound of the wild soul. She explained that domesticated women develop specific symptoms: chronic depression, energy-draining relationships, a constant feeling of living someone else's life, blocked creativity, and a dull anger that cannot find a voice. Do you recognize any of these symptoms? The promise was simple. If you are a good girl, if you are docile and pleasant, you will be loved and protected. But this promise was a cruel lie. What you received in exchange for your docility was not true love. It was a conditional version of affection that depended on your ability to annihilate yourself. You became an expert at reading others' moods, at anticipating others' needs, at being the woman everyone wanted you to be. But in the process, you lost touch with the woman you truly are. Your wild nature is not destructive. She is deeply creative. She is not chaotic. She has ancestral wisdom that your intellect cannot always comprehend. She is not dangerous to others. She is only dangerous to systems that depend on your submission. The inner wolf is that voice that warns you when something is wrong, even when everyone else is saying it's right. She is the one who senses when someone is lying, even when the words sound convincing. She is the one who knows your natural cycles, your limits, your authentic desires. Estés used the metaphor of the wolf because wolves are deeply social creatures, but they never lose their autonomy. They protect their pack fiercely, but do not sacrifice themselves unnecessarily. They are loyal, but not subservient. They are loving, but also know when to show their teeth. After 40, many women begin to feel the wolf stirring. Hormones change, responsibilities with young children decrease, mortality becomes more real. And suddenly, that voice you silenced for decades begins to get louder. This is not a midlife crisis. It is an awakening. It's your inner wolf saying, "Enough. We've wasted enough time living a miniature life. It's time to reclaim our territory." So, how does this translate into your real life today? In relationships, when a partner tells you that you are overreacting to express a legitimate concern, your inner wolf is the one who whispers, he is trying to make you question your perception because your clarity bothers him. A woman connected with her wild nature does not accept gaslighting. She trusts her instincts. At work, when you feel that knot in your stomach before a meeting with a certain colleague, don't ignore it. Your wolf knows how to read energy before your mind processes information. Women who honor this intuition navigate corporate environments with much more wisdom than those who try to rationalize everything. With children, a mother connected with her inner wolf does not raise dependent children. She raises resilient children. She models healthy boundaries, shows that it is possible to be loving without being a doormat, teaches that no is a complete sentence. With herself, when your wolf is free, you stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop diminishing your achievements. You stop tolerating disrespect to keep the peace. You understand that your inner peace is more important than the artificial peace of toxic environments. Clarissa Estés said that women in contact with their wild nature develop what she called psychic discrimination, the ability to quickly sense who is safe and who is not, which situations nourish and which drain, which opportunities are authentic and which are disguised traps. A practical example. You are on a date and the man makes a subtle comment that diminishes your profession. Your educated mind tries to rationalize. Maybe he didn't mean to, maybe I'm being too sensitive. But your inner wolf growls softly. She knows that disrespect begins with innocent comments. A domesticated woman ignores the growl and gives a second chance. A wild woman listens to her wolf and acts accordingly. She doesn't create drama, she doesn't make a scene, she simply doesn't invest energy where it's not valued. The cost of keeping the wild domesticated. If you continue to silence your wild nature, here's what awaits you: a life of constant emotional exhaustion, relationships where you give more than you receive, missed opportunities because you waited for permission to act, suffocated creativity because you are afraid of being too much. Women who keep the wolf domesticated develop what Estés called soul hunger, a specific depression that does not respond to antidepressants because it is not chemical, it is existential. It is the soul dying of starvation from lack of authenticity. You grow old feeling like a stranger in your own life. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the woman you've become. You feel a constant anger that you can't identify the source. You develop diseases that are physical manifestations of repressed emotions. The power of freeing your inner wolf. But when you stop domesticating your wild nature, something magical happens. You begin to live with an intensity that scares superficial people, and that is a blessing, not a curse. You develop a presence that cannot be ignored, not because you are trying to attract attention, but because you are finally fully inhabiting your own body, your own life. Toxic relationships naturally move away because you no longer offer the victim energy they need to survive. And healthy relationships flourish because you finally have something real to offer, not a performance of who you think you should be, but the raw truth of who you are. Your creativity explodes. Projects you've put off for years suddenly seem urgent and possible. You stop asking for permission and start creating the life you always knew you deserved. Clarissa Estés said that women who release their inner wolf become dangerously complete. Dangerous to systems that depend on your insecurity. Complete because they have finally integrated all aspects of their personality. A practical example. You are on a date and the man makes a subtle comment that diminishes your profession. Your educated mind tries to rationalize. Maybe he didn't mean to, maybe I'm being too sensitive. But your inner wolf growls softly. She knows that disrespect begins with innocent comments. A domesticated woman ignores the growl and gives a second chance. A wild woman listens to her wolf and acts accordingly. She doesn't create drama, she doesn't make a scene, she simply doesn't invest energy where it's not valued. If these words resonated in your soul like an ancestral howl, know one thing: you are not alone in this awakening. There is a silent army of women around the world who are going through the same process. Women who are tired of living small lives so as not to bother anyone. Women who are discovering that their too much intensity is actually their greatest strength. Clarissa Pinkola Estés knew that the healing of the feminine wild soul does not happen in isolation. It happens in a pack. When women come together and share their unfiltered truths, when they stop competing and start collaborating, when they give each other mutual permission to be great, that's when the magic happens. Every time you share this message, you are calling other wolves back home. Every time you live authentically, you give permission for other women to do the same. Your invitation is this: stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop diminishing your light so as not to overshadow others' insecurities. Stop translating your wisdom into language that fragile men can digest. Your inner wolf doesn't need more domestication. She needs territory, a pack, purpose. Like this content if you feel your wolf stirring. Share with a friend who needs to remember that she was not born to be an obedient puppy. She was born to be a force of nature. Comment "howl" if you are ready to stop apologizing for being who you are. Because Clarissa Estés was right. The most regrettable thing is not a woman who howls too loud. It's a woman who forgot she has a voice. And you, my wolf, have much more to say. Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we are free.